It's the hottest day of the year, and I bought it sight unseen. You know, maybe a guy should say, I'll come look instead of I'll take it. Anyway, I ended up with a pristine example of modern RVs. We've got the custom wood door. We got a bunch of covers and openings that, I don't know, they might work. We got these cool ripples in the side because, you know, it's made out of wood and probably going to fall apart before we get home. We got an awning. There's some tape on it, so that probably works perfect. Now back here, all the tail lights are in it, so you know they don't work. We got the sewer hose, and I can smell it. Got the sewer fittings, they're both open. Missing gas cap. It does have the 19.5 tires though. That can't be beat. I mean, that's the heavy duty stuff. It's worth it alone for that. Generator, sure, it's in there, but it doesn't work right. You know, so no surprises there. Batteries are dead. Door hinges, we got them. Hear them? Let's take a look at the inside. That's the best part. Of course, we got the custom door latch. Isn't that nice how they put the trim back around the door so it almost matches? Now, she's pretty nice in here though. We got the standard dinette that turns into a bed. We got the standard couch that's, I don't know, it might do something. It's got a vent in there. But here, we got the good stuff. This RV would be a 91 vintage. And I don't know if you guys that are savvy recognize that, but that's the 454 with the throttle body injection and the cast aluminum valve covers. And believe it or not, behind that's a 4L80. And even better, the odometer over there, which probably hasn't worked for 250,000 miles, says 40,000 miles. Did buy it not running though. And no spark. We've confirmed no spark, so we're going to throw the old Master Pro ignition module in there and hope we get some sparkles. So I'll throw that in there and we'll see what we got. Probably nothing. These throttle body injected GM motors, they've got an HEI distributor too, but they're the small cap HEI, but they're still pretty similar to the big cap HEI. And down inside here's the ignition module. Of course, you know, it's supposed to come with the paste that goes here. It's a heat transfer paste with the paste. But the O'Reilly place, you know, that never has any parts, and you have to look your own part. That's what we did. We looked our own parts up, went back in and got them. But no heat transfer paste. But anyway, we'll just get in here and swap this module out, because 9 times out of 10 on these throttle body injected motors, when you lose spark, it's this ignition module. And we'll hope we get spark after that. And the guy selling it, he failed to mention the alternator was missing. So, you know, if we get spark, then we'll have to go find an alternator to run the water pump so we can drive this thing home. And I forgot to mention it's 60 miles home. So, you know, the title of this video will probably be something like, hey, we bought a crappy RV. Can we drive it 60 miles home after we get it running? If we ever get it to the we got it running part. So when you're putting these modules in, you want to use the heat paste. They also got a small pin you want to line up with the bottom of the distributor. Otherwise you'll smash the little pins down if they're not lined up, and then this won't touch and won't transfer heat, and you'll have another erect ignition module right away. Like, you know, you'll get like far enough out of town, it's scary far out of town, but you won't get to the next town. these little tiny bolts, you sure don't want to over tighten them and strip them. Just tighten them a little. Have a little restraint. Don't get carried away. We'll hook a ratchet on here like this and crank down on them. Just snug them. Alright, ignition module's in. Now we'll see if we can get sparked. Or shocked. Shocked or sparked? I don't know. Whoa, look at that. You see that? We got spark. And we got some injector action. I suppose it runs?
Yeah.
Well, let me get this cap on here and we'll find out. And some other things we got going on here. I don't know why, but this is the return fuel line. And somebody's already hose clamped this baby. So I'm wondering if we got an inline pump that's not a high enough pressure pump. The MAP sensor, or MAP? Yeah, MAP sensor is unplugged. So, you know, that makes the engine thinks full throttle all the time, even when it's not. No vacuum. So I don't know. This is just looking worse all the time. Did I mention it was the hottest day of the year? Oh, put that back in before you put your cap back on, because it ain't gonna work without that. Well, I guess just took that coil wire up. We lost the spark plug. There it is. Alright. What do you suppose is gonna happen? We got oil pressure. Well, I didn't like that. I guess it wants to have a vacuum leak. So I unhooked the MAP sensor and it runs much better, which is a classic sign of fuel starvation, which I'm thinking somebody has put an inline pump on it, which isn't quite enough pressure, which is why we're not getting no return. Either that or the fuel pressure regulator's messed up. So I guess we'll crawl under there and see what we got underneath. Ow! Ow! Oh, ow! Ow, more rocks! So I've been under there. Nobody's monkeyed with the fuel lines, but boy, she sounds empty. So I don't know. It's either a weak fuel pump or she's out of gas. It's weird. The gas tank's bigger than the shit tank. I can't believe it. Ugh, this thing's maybe gonna make it home. So I think it runs good enough. We'll throw it in gear and see if we got a gear or two. And if we do, we'll go get an alternator. We'll head for home and we can see if we can make it 60 miles. I was gonna try and get the generator running, you know, so we could run the roof ACs. There's 2 of them, so it'd get cold in there if they worked. So that's out, because I showed you how the generator sounded. If we come around to the front here, we could maybe get the dash AC going, because the compressor is on it. The condenser is on it. Here, check this out. We got wood blockage everywhere. But anyway, somebody just chopped one of the air conditioner lines, just chopped it right off. Who would do that? Don't they know what that cold air is? Anyway, must have come from Alaska or something. Let's go start it back up and see if we got reverse, forward, all that good stuff. Brakes? Probably need brakes to get home. Unless you know what you're doing. The expert level, you don't need brakes. Oh, oh, she's comfy. Up. Whoa, it backed up and we got brakes. Let's try forward. Okay, do that. Ooh, shit. Look at that. It goes both ways. Well, the service engine soon might come on too. Let's go get an alternator. Did I mention it was the hottest day of the year? Great. Well, here we are. It's literally been forever and a day. We got our alternator. Nobody in town had one. That's why it's been forever and a day. But at least it's not hot anymore. The reason nobody had one, if you noticed, that's the old serpentine pulley. So you'd expect this to be, you know, fuel injected, throttle body injected GM stuff and common. Well, it's not common because it's a 454 and it's kind of an early fuel injected 454. And just because it has a serpentine belt, you know, we have to tension this. They didn't know what they were doing yet. It's got a serpentine belt for an alternator, a V-belt for the air conditioner, and a V-belt for the power steering pump. So it's all kinds of weird and screwed up because of what year it is. And the reason the alternator is so much different than everything else is because your typical GM serpentine drive on a throttle body injected, like a 94 pickup, you got a mount here and a mount here, and it just goes in a bracket, and of course the tensioner tensions your belt. But this one works old style, so you know you got to get in there and pry it over and tighten the tensioner bolt. So I'll throw the alternator on and we'll fire this thing up and see if maybe we can go down the road. Alright, got the alternator on there. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but when we did get it to run, what little bit we got it to run, it wasn't bypassing any fuel on the return of the throttle body, and it was running a lot better with the map sensor unplugged. So that tells me it's probably starved for fuel. So we're going to hook fuel pressure gauge up and see what we got. Fuel filter. Alright, so on these old throttle bodies, they don't have a Schrader valve or a test port for the fuel injector set up. So you got to take the line loose. This is the feed line that goes right into the back of the throttle body, and you got to, you know, adapt it to something you can hook it all back up and still have some fuel pressure. So let's start it up and see what we got. So we're needing between 9 and 13 on a throttle body system, and you can see that's about all coming out the return. We have not got enough fuel pressure for this to run right. Inside of here is the fuel pressure regulator. There's a big spring, the diaphragm. I'm going to take that off and see what kind of shape it's in. So I got the top of the fuel pressure regulator off. You know, this mess here just sits there, and you pull it off, and then when you get it off, you got this gigantic spring pushing on a diaphragm held down by 4 bolts in this. And if you look inside of there, this could be an adjuster, but General Motors put a goober, a brazing rod, solder, something inside of there so you couldn't get in there with an Allen wrench and turn it. But I reached my fingers in here, and man, this thing turns super easy. You know, it's just like a little threaded bolt for an adjustment for your fuel pressure. So I'm not sure if we're dealing with a weak fuel pump, a plugged fuel filter, or what, but I think I'm just going to build a bypass fuel system and try and get the fuel pressure right so we can get on down the road, so it's not, you know, another forever in a day. Alright, this is our setup for our get us home fuel system. I just got a pump, like, you know, belongs to this, the in-tank pump or replacement pump. I'm going to put it in the gas jug here with gas. We got our fuel filter, and we got her plumbed over to the throttle body. And then I got 12 volts down here at this switch that runs the ladder. So I'm just going to drop her in there and see what we got for fuel pressure. You guys watch that gauge. What do you got? Alright, we got 14 pounds pressure with that setup, it looks like. So we'll try to head for home now. Okay, I wanted to show you and update you a little bit more on what this fuel setup is. This is the adapter fitting out of my fuel pressure test kit, onto which is the inlet of the throttle body injection. I hooked fuel line onto it, and it goes back to this fuel tank or gas jug, which has an in-tank pump for this vehicle inside of it that we're picking up power off there for powering up the steps. So that's supplying fuel to the throttle body. The return line, if we return this back to the tank through this line, which does go back to the tank, we just pump our gas jug dry. So I hooked a hose on there that goes back to the gas fuel tank, and then that leaves us with the factory supply fuel line, which I hooked a hose onto. And now I could have pulled the fuel pump fuse or taken the fuel pump relay off, or, you know, something, but I'm too lazy to do that. It was much easier just hook this hose on and run it back there to that tank too. So the reason the factory pump in the tank ain't giving us no pressure but flow, I think, is inside the tank, between the pump and the fuel outlet tube that comes out of the tank, there's usually a thick rubber hose like this. And I wouldn't be surprised, because I've been stranded because of this before, that this got a split in it inside the tank, and because this is thick, it won't hold no pressure. As soon as you start getting pressure, the split opens up and lets the pressure out. But because it's thick, you do get some flow of gasoline, usually enough to idle. So, you know, either the fuel pump's dying, or the screen on the fuel pump's dying, or this is split. And I suspect this is split. I don't know that we'll ever fix this RV up enough to find out. We'll see how it goes down the road. But this thing runs pretty good now. Alternator's charging. It starts up pretty good. It idles nice. It takes throttle good. Oh, the fuel pump's not hooked up. Let me hook the fuel pump up, and then I'll show you how it runs. Okay, let me show you how it runs. Idle's fairly smooth. Take the throttle good. I think we're good to go down the road. I'm going to put the air cleaner on, put the doghouse on, and we'll head on down the road. Well, here we are. Doghouse is on. Fuel pumps pumping. We're ready to go down the road. Did you guys notice this TV in the dash? I mean, look at that. Is that not crazy or what? When I first walked in here, I was just like, I can't believe it. And the VCR went there. There's actually VCR in there, and I haven't checked to see if it fits that hole, but I can't believe it. But anyway, we should fire this thing up and head on down the road. We got to stop somewhere near tire up, you know, all the way across town. But I think we'll make it that far for sure. Uh-oh. It's going. We got it. We're gonna make it, I think. Whoa, this seat's a long ways back. I don't know. I have to figure out how to work the seat. Well, where's the lever that... That's not it. I am not feeling no seat lever nowhere. It's always something. There's no steps. You just gotta like fall out. Oh. Don't worry, I found it. Oh, it runs good. We got reverse. Yep. I'm gonna drop it in low. Nope, I'm not, because the vice grips that are the keys won't let you go into low. We're just gonna have to count gears. Hope we got them all. Whoa, this thing's, it's not awful. Going around down the road. Ooh, it's got power. 60 pounds of oil pressure, 14 volts. Ain't run long enough to get hot yet. A bunch of bikers pulling out in front of them. Oh shit, this thing's long. Oh, wow, it runs right out. Which means it's not stuck in first gear. There's second gear. We hit the speed limit already, which is only 30, but I mean, we made it that far. This thing actually drives kind of okay. Got some exhaust leaks that kind of make it sound like it's missing, but I don't think she's missing. I think she's getting all the temp gauges coming up. You know, like 150. Ooh, shit, this is their turn. The turn signal in the dash blinks. I wonder if the one in the back blinks. Those bikers will let me know, you know, they don't like how I'm driving, I'm sure. Maybe we'll have a Mad Max movie out of this too. Probably. So I mentioned, I think it's 60 some miles home. If you clicked on the video and it said 100 miles home, I guess I got you. Because this is probably going to feel like 400 miles home. So far, so good. Oh, uh-oh. We gotta pull over. That factory gas that I was running in out of the factory tank, it's done overfilled the gas can. We're gonna have to kink that off or something. Ooh. Alright, we're good to go now. I just put the old vice grips on there and I got it kinked off. That split in the hose or whatever, it can just bypass in the tank. Let's get back on down the road. Oh. Well, there's hiccup number one. Park, reverse, neutral, overdrive, which is why I bought it. It's got an overdrive. I don't know why I get myself into this stuff. So, hiccup number two. There's a curtain over there. I cannot see out the passenger side window at all. Oh. Yeah, we'll have to do something with that. I'll air the tires up. Super pleased with the way this thing runs though. I mean, it runs right out. This whole engine's excellent. So good on us for that, I guess. Something's got to turn out right? Alright, left turn signal engaged. Well, left turn signal flashes in the dash too. Yeah, this thing drives surprisingly good. It's got a light feel to it. It's like you got plenty of power, plenty of steering, plenty of brakes. I mean, I've only been up to 45 so far, but not bad. If it don't fall apart on the way home, we might just have something worth maybe fixing up a little. Alright, we made it to the gas station. I'm going to air these tires up and then we'll get on down the road and see if we make it home. Hope the hose is long. Tires are aired up. We're going to head on down the road. Well, she's warmed up, temperature's at 210, oil pressure's still at 60, warm, idling, volts are about 13, service engine soon light is on. Off we go. Okay. The speedometer works. Surprising. Well, I got updates. I shut her down for a minute. We're about halfway home. The voltage is hanging in there around 13, no problem there. The oil pressure gauge, it's right around 60, no problem there. The temperature's been dead solid at 210, and it wasn't at 210 when we left, so you know, it either runs at 210 or that gauge don't go past 210. I'm not sure which. I shut her down. I figured I'd make sure we're not running out of oil, because you know, who knows how much oil this thing burns. Figured we'd check on our gas situation. Well, it looks like we've used about half a tank of gas. So that sounds about right for 30 miles. You know, 3 gallons of gas. Yep, that sounds right. Well, I'll climb out of here and we'll check the oil here in a few minutes and continue to head on down the road. Well, I checked on Earl. Earl's pretty good. He's hot, but he's full and looks clean, so we're going to continue to head on down the road. Well, I made it another 10 miles down the road to the next town, and now we got this going on. So I'm gonna let it cool off and go in this building over here, grab a burger, and see if we can get some more antifreeze in it. Maybe we got a slow leak somewhere. Well, she cooled off enough. I got the radiator cap off, and I don't know. I got close to half a gallon of antifreeze put back in. Only got like 20 miles left, so I think we'll make it. We'll head back on down the road. Oh, we made it back to the fort. The little camper, for as rough a shape as it is, it sure went right down the road and did everything it should do. 454 with throttle body injection and a 4L80E are a pretty good motorhome engine in my book anyway, at least by 1992 standards. This thing went right on down the road, 65 miles an hour, no problem. We burned a lot of gas, but I mean, you know, big block Chevy, that's to be expected. You might see more of this in upcoming episodes, or we might just rip this motor out and put it in something else, but we'll see. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.